It's only April and we're already talking about possibly the best movie of 2022? Well, let's talk. So Everything Everywhere All at Once came out on March 25th, 2022. It is directed by the Daniels, Dan Kwan and Daniel Scheinert. I hope I'm saying that right. And the movie stars Michelle Yeoh as Evelyn, Stephanie Hsu as Joy, and Ki-Hai Kwan as Waymond. And you might recognize that name from the Indiana Jones movie and the Temple of Doom because he played Short Round, so it's pretty cool to see him pop up in here. I haven't seen him in any movie since he was a child actor, so that was pretty cool. And also to note, this movie is produced by Anthony and Jay Russo, the Russo brothers, which is pretty funny because right now, if you know the MCU, that's kind of where Phase 4 has been heading, is towards the multiverse. I'm sure you've seen Loki and other shows like that, and with the Multiverse of Madness coming up, it's pretty cool that this movie is also a multiverse movie and handled perfectly. So, in case I haven't hinted at it enough yet, this so far is my favorite movie of 2022. I was blown away by this. I didn't think anything could top the Batman, and it took about a month to do that. Because this movie deals with so much, and I should probably note that I am a big A24 fan. I am a fan of those kinds of movies, and this is an A24 picture, and it does have that feeling of an A24 picture. So it has that indie kind of art house feel to it, but done in it with a sci-fi twist. So let me put it to you like this. This movie, it's about a woman who in her life right now feels like she's in a rut. She feels like she never accomplished all her goals in life. She feels like everything that she did, she never finished. Her father makes sure to point that out to her. But she has a loving husband, but she doesn't seem to care about him anymore, and he definitely does seem to still care about her, but they're looking to divorce. And they have an adult daughter who right now is in a relationship with another woman, and at the same time, they're taking care of her father, who she has a very, let's just say, strained relationship with, and that relationship seems to be affecting her relationship with her own daughter because that relationship seems strained as well. And that's just setting up what the plot of this movie is, because for like the first, I would say about half hour, we're just learning what these characters' lives are all about, what they do in their day-to-day life. Actually, on this particular night, they're going to have a party for not just the neighborhood, but for her father. So it's a very kind of special thing, but they are also being overwhelmed with tax issues and everything all at the same time, and what do you know? They get thrown a curveball. Well, our main character, Evelyn, gets thrown a curveball when she finds out that she might just be, like in the Matrix, the chosen one. She is going to be the one that takes over, like she's the one that this multiverse needs to, in the infinite amount of universes, she's the one that is going to fix everything, because right now, she might be the chosen one, and she might be the only one who can defeat Jobu Debaki as someone who is destroying right now the entire universe. And she doesn't feel like that could be possible because, in her own words, she is not good at anything. But as the movie goes on, we get more explanations as to why this is. Why is there a ton of ripples in her reality and in the realities of people around her, as it seems. And I don't want to spoil anything for you, just trust me that this is a great movie and you are going to be blown away when you see this, because I am a big fan of sci-fi movies and I am a big fan of movies like this in general. And one thing I had no idea about this movie was the comedy. This movie is hysterical. There was a lot of laugh out loud moments in this movie. It's a very quirky kind of movie. It's not like a mile a minute kind of comedy, but the comedy that gets thrown in is awesome, which contradicts a lot of the serious tone that this movie I thought was setting out to do. It really was funny, and it really also touched me in a way. I related a lot with Evelyn in this movie. I understand completely somebody who feels like that. They especially, to be honest with you, especially right now, somebody who hasn't accomplished all the goals that they set out to do in their life. And you feel like you failed. And then to find out that there is possibly an infinite number of versions of yourself that are successes or failures, who have learned tons of different arts and studies, and it's amazing what that could honestly do for you. And to show it, what actually has led her, because they do show in this movie what has led her to be in this rut. It wasn't always like that. Or, with her husband, he seems to be a man who's being overtaken, or Like, he gets stepped on by everybody else. He's always just trying to make a joke out of things, which I can also relate to that, because I'm somebody who always tries to make a joke out of things and, you know, try and be a little more lighthearted in a serious situation, and, you know, sometimes a lot of people don't appreciate that. So I like that they were showing that. And then to have, like, I'm going to give you 3 out of context scenes in this movie, and you tell me if this is something that even would resemble what this movie has been pitched to you. 3 men are trying to jump onto a award on Jamie Lee Curtis's desk, and they are trying to jump on it and have it go up their ass. That's one scene. There's another scene where 2 characters are fighting with dildos. Okay. And then there's a third scene where 2 rocks are talking. Now, how do I know they're talking? Because they put subtitles telling me what the rocks are doing, and one of those rocks has googly eyes on it. Again, I'm not going to give you the context behind any of that, but trust me in here, it works in this movie, and this is a movie that made me almost cry twice. So, like, to have that fantastical elements, and these directors did direct a movie that also had fantastical elements like this in Swiss Army Man, starring Daniel Radcliffe and Paul Dano from a few years ago. So I know that these directors know how to balance a certain type of, like, serious storyline, or in this case it's a sci-fi storyline, and a drama, and also like a comedy. They know how to balance a bunch of different genres at once, and I think they did it to perfection here. I really did. I'm hoping to see more from these guys. They've only been around, from what I could tell, for like about 10 years max. They used to direct music videos, so we could probably get a lot more films from them. So this is great that we got a film like this already. I can't really express to you how much I love this movie. Actually really touched me. It was the movie I felt like I really needed to see right now. Just some of the jokes in here were just so funny. Some of the character work is great. One thing I didn't touch on yet, and I really don't want to leave this out, is Jamie Lee Curtis. I thought that this was going to be a bit far from her, but she's in a lot of this movie, and she is definitely acting it up. She plays her character perfectly. She's so funny, which I really didn't expect. I didn't expect to see a character. This is a Jamie Lee Curtis I felt like that we would see in a Fish Called Wanda kind of movie. Like, that's the Jamie Lee Curtis I felt like we were getting in this movie, and I loved seeing that. This movie, actually, one thing I want to point out about the multiverse, it felt like the multiverse from Rick and Morty, if you guys know what the multiverse is in that. That's what it really felt like. There's an infinite number of these characters, and some of the worlds they go to are similar to the ones like you might see on the Rick and Morty, from all my Rick and Morty fans out there, on their intergalactic cable episodes, where there's just like, there's a corn on the cob world. This movie has a world where everyone has fingers that are hot dogs. Not even lying. I swear to God, that's in this movie. And I eat that kind of stuff up. I love things that, like, you know, play with fantasy elements in the real world, because when you're making a movie, like, you want to see things like that. That's what you go to the movies for. Like, but yet, somehow at the beginning of this movie, the first third of the movie, I didn't think I was going to see a movie like that. I thought I was going to see a slow-paced movie with these characters that I cared about. They had me, and I don't think the movie works without me caring about these characters, and that's what's incredible about this movie. It sets these characters up. It shows me what their lives are going to be, especially Evelyn. I truly cared. I related to Evelyn so much in this movie. Michelle Yeoh played this character perfect. I'm hoping, because it's April, none of these people get overlooked for possible Oscars. I don't know if this is the Oscar type of movie. I would say it's like kind of 50-50 if they're going to remember this movie come Oscar season next year, since it came out early this year. But I really hope that Michelle Yeoh gets recognized for the work she did. But another actor who I really hope gets a lot of recognition is Stephanie Hsu, because, again, she has to play... everybody in this movie has to play multiple characters because of multiple realities. But I think between her and Michelle Yeoh, they have to play the most amount of different characters, and I think they nailed each one, because that's incredible acting across the board, that you have to play each character, play different emotions for each character, and it was well done. And also, I want to point out that the costume design is really good in this movie, and the sound. So in the theater, a couple times you would hear things in the background, like, and I actually thought that it was like somebody on their phone or somebody talking to somebody else, or it would come from the front. I really actually thought the sound design for this movie is fantastic. Cinematography kind of felt more like an A24 cinematography kind of thing. That was the only thing I think that I didn't have any shots that stick out in my head. I think that's kind of like where there's a lot of scenes in the same kind of places, where I guess, you know, for budgetary reasons you could save money that way, because there's a lot of special effects in this movie, which A24 usually, for their movies, have smaller budgets. I don't know what the budget on this movie is, but I imagine that, you know, it went to other places. So The cinematography didn't feel like the greatest, but again, I also want to note that I saw this in not the greatest of theaters, just because it's a, you know, usually where I live, A24 movies get played in like not the best theaters, so this is not a Dolby IMAX experience for me. So that could have had an effect on it too, but that's the only note I have as far as like a negative. The cinematography just didn't blow me away. But I am not going to let that take anything away from this movie at all, because like I said, I think this is the best movie of 2022. So if this is my favorite movie of 2022, then this movie is getting a 10 out of 10 from me. It's a perfect score. I love this movie. If you can, please go out and see this in theaters. I think it's something that you should probably see on the big screen, but I'm actually hoping that we get a really nice 4K or Criterion. This screams Criterion, so I'm hoping we get something like that in the future where I could really see and get some interviews with everybody in the making of this movie. So hopefully down the line we get that, because this is a movie that is going into the rotation permanently for me. So I can't say enough. 10 out of 10. Go out, go see this movie. I promise you, you're going to get so much out of this. You're going to go on an emotional roller coaster. Try and go into this without seeing as much or hearing as much as you can. But anyway, guys, thanks for sticking around. Please make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and tell all your friends.